Hello everyone, this is Game Vulture here at Supanova Comic Convention here at the Melbourne Showgrounds. This is Game Vulture's first time here, so we're excited to see what it's all about.
It's my third year here, the 18th year of the convention overall, which means that it's now legally allowed to drink. Today we're here to check out some exhibitors, some artists, and of course our very own James Islington, who will hopefully be interviewing later today. Is there anything that you're excited for, Ethan?
Well, you took them all.
Oh, no.
You took them all. Took all the things I was going to say. All that and more.
Let's get going.
All right, let's head on.
So my name is Henry Nielsen. Basically, I'm just a huge nerd. I have always been a huge fan of science fiction. I've always been really interested in the way that it can sort of tell stories about us. So I started writing, and a couple of years ago I released my first book, and I've got another one that's recently come out.
So Peter J. Alden, or Pete Alden, depending on the genre that I'm writing. Mostly self-published. I have a few books with an American publisher, and been writing since I was a kid. Finally started publishing about 10 years ago.
I'm Ellie. I currently am writing an epic fantasy series.
Yeah, and I'm also a writer, obviously. I write science fiction mostly with a comedic and tone and also some horror elements. That's what I've got here.
I'm James Islington. I'm the author of Will of the Many and the LAKEY trilogy.
So what are the benefits of going indie versus going like mainstream, perhaps in like self-publishing versus using a publishing house?
There are benefits and drawbacks to both. The real benefit that you do get from a publishing house is that you get their inbuilt sort of network of distribution, and like it's easier to get into bookstores and all that sort of stuff. What you give up is a certain amount of autonomy. You lose a bit of control. You don't get to choose your cover art. You don't get to choose your editor. That's all sort of done for you. So it's sort of a matter of what you want to do. The other thing is, if you're trying to get a book published and it isn't on trend or it isn't as marketable for whatever reason, it may be a perfectly good book, but you won't get picked up because it's not. The publishing houses don't think that they can sell it. So
you've done both self-publishing and also with a publishing.
Traditional publishing.
So how's been the experience like between both?
It's interesting. There's pluses and minuses in everything. The pluses in self-publishing are that you have a lot more creative control, and you can do things like every book, doesn't matter who published it, will have a typo that got through to the publishing stage. You can go back into your book, fix the typo, republish it the same day, and it's fixed. So the next person who buys it. Whereas a traditional publisher, you get what you get. Once they've done their print run, it's kind of stuck. So that's a benefit. Whereas with traditional publishing, you sort of don't have to worry about marketing. You don't have to worry about choosing a cover, paying for cover art. And so they do a lot of the work, the hard work for you. Self-publishing is really running your own publishing business. And that can be fun, and it can also take you away from the core writing, the thing you love doing too.
When I first started researching into publishing, I decided from the get-go that I would do indie publishing because there's a lot of restrictions that come with traditional publishing and a lot of expectations that they have of you. So they do, it's typically like a trend chasing sort of industry because, they're business, so they've got to make money as well. And so I decided from the get-go that I wanted to do indie publishing because I wanted to control what sort of covers I would have, what sort of stories I wanted to write. I just one of the stories that I remember as a kid learning about was The Hunger Games, which is a really popular series, and so the author actually was asked to include the love triangle in there. So that's why it feels very forced, because the trend was love triangles back then. And so I thought to myself, I do not want any of that. And so that's why I did indie publishing. I actually really enjoy choosing all my own art and, yeah, writing in the way that I want to write. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably more open to trad publishing, but honestly, there's not much of it in Australia. Like, I sort of applied for all three of them that were there. And I was like, there's just not, it's not enough, a big enough pool of options really. And yeah, but it is a lot more restrictive too. Like, obviously the current trend is kind of romantasy, I guess, and if you're not writing in that genre, they're not really interested. And I like science fiction, which is, I think because of...
It's coming back.
Yeah, it is coming back a little bit. It's a Project Hail Mary, yeah. But in the last few years, it's been very... because tech's progressing too fast, people don't want to read about tech or,
yes, exactly.
that sort of thing, so it's less on vogue at the moment, I guess.
Some of the scary things that happen over the previous years with tech and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, I'm just sort of doing what I can. If I end up trying to publish, that'll be cool. If not, that's also cool. Like,
What are your opinions on indie publishing?
Indie publishing? I mean, I started self-published a long time ago now, 2014. I think it's obviously very different now to when I did it, but I think it's a great gateway to being able to get your stuff out there. I was very fortunate in that I didn't know marketing or anything like that, and my book happened to take off, and that got me the attention of an agent. But even if that hadn't happened, I would have been like, it felt really good just to be able to have my work out there. Like, it's really hard to write a book, and to have completed that and just to have other people able to read it, I think is a really nice thing. But I mean, it goes from strength to strength, I think, indie publishing, because you're obviously getting you're getting a much better percentage of every book sold. And if you have the business acumen to do it, and you can, some people really enjoy, for example, going, I'm going to do my own covers, or I'm going to get somebody to do my covers, and I'm going to market all of this myself, and I know a few of those guys, and they love it, and that's what they want to do, and they love the freedom from having, an overseeing sort of editor and so on, and that makes perfect sense to me. But I actually love working in the system now. I was a bit iffy on it to start with, but I get along really, really well with my publisher, my editor, and so it really suits me. But I think you still get amazing books coming out of the indie space. So.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And too, like, you started publishing in 2014. With the rise of technology and everything and publishing online, how do you think that's changed the landscape of indie publishing?
Yeah, I mean, for about 5 or 6 years, people would ask me about self-publishing, and I'd be like, yeah, do it, it's great. These days, I'm a lot more hesitant just because I don't know the space as well. I think it's a lot harder if you're starting out now, because there's stuff like AI, which people are very rightly suspicious about. You don't want to... you don't want to pick up something that is written by AI, but also you have people who are just flooding the market with AI, and it just makes it so much harder to get noticed, I think. And so whether or not that space, hopefully there is some sort of resolution to that problem. But yeah, I mean, I think also just ebook has become a lot more accepted. Like, everybody, not everybody reads on Kindle, but it's not a weird thing anymore. So.
Any advice for people trying to break into the industry, writing?
Honestly, practice getting as good at writing as you can. Find a critique group that isn't afraid to sort of give you the good and the bad, and Thirdly, there are so many different options on how to do it. We've got people who have funded themselves through Kickstarter, people who are primarily getting printed in magazines, people who are doing their stuff and selling it on Amazon. There's so many different avenues for you to go down these days. So you can really do what you like and come up with all sorts of, there are many different pathways to publication.
So any advice for people trying to break in?
To writing or to
writers? Yeah.
To writers, yeah. Do your homework. So learn the craft from the ground up. Join a critique group. If that one doesn't work for you, join a different one. So get feedback on your writing. Never think that you've arrived. You're always polishing, but also be kind to yourself and just enjoy the process and have fun with it. Yeah.
The hardest part of writing is continuously doing it, like keeping an idea in your head and working on it for a long time. And also, I think the other important part is finding a community of other people who are also writing, because that really helps you stay motivated. They also can like read it, make sure you're not completely insane, and give you feedback and stuff. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah. I think I would say similar sort of advice, but also like the biggest thing is actually just finishing it. A lot of people will start a book and they never actually finish it, and so it's actually a small percentage of people that actually finish a book. So just finish it, regardless of the state of which you finish it. Finish it because you can always fix it. That's the thing. You haven't published it yet. Just keep chipping away at it, and yeah, find an awesome crowd of people. Jazz is awesome. She's proofread my books and beta read it, and I've read her books as well. That really helps to encourage you to keep going. Yeah.
I'm sure you get this question all the time for interviews like this, but what advice would you give to people who want to start publishing, who want to have, aspiring authors?
I mean, yeah, depending on where they are. I mean, if you're still writing your book, the rule is just to write. I know it's very obvious and basic advice, but you can't figure out what works for you. You can watch a million of these sort of interviews and listen to advice from 1,000 people and still not hear the right one for you, because you have to do it and then fail and write terrible things, and then eventually go, oh, this is clicking for me, this method. Like I wrote, when I was 18, I wrote 30,000 words of a really terrible start to a novel, and then when I was 25, I wrote like 60,000 words of a really terrible start to a novel, and they were both completely different methodologies, but they taught me what worked for me. And so when I did eventually get to the point where I wrote Shadow of What Was Lost, I had put in the hours to figure that out. Yeah.